Well, no, seeing as it's just like the film we're talking about today, I'm going straight into it like a cold opening. This is the Dreadcast episode 44. Talking about Beyond. Ain't got time for waffle. Nope.
It's not even blindsided me with, oh, we're recording, by the way.
Because of the fact the film we're talking about today had such a cold opening. So I was just like, oh, that could be the bit. That could be the bit I do.
It's clever. He's done it.
But now I don't know what to say, so...
We are back. Episode 43?
44, because 44. I know it's 44 because I spent so much time on the artwork last night, and the font I had the 4 in, when I did 44, it looked too much like the Nazi SS. So I had to change the font. Just for this episode, I had to change the font. We are not affiliated, or we do not believe anything related to that.
That is fair enough.
Not the Nazi cast or anything like that.
I don't think you've sent me that artwork, by the way.
No, I had to change it last minute.
Is that why? Because the paint's still wet on it.
Yeah. I had to scrub the whole SS off. Episode 44 of the Dreadcast. Pardon me, my name is Tom. This is Lovely Adam. Before we get into anything, do go back and check out our wonderful episode on our part 1 of the Monsters of Universal Dracula from 1931.
Yep.
31 from last week. Do go back and check it out.
31. Bela Lugosi, Dracula.
Dr. Acula.
Dr. Acula. It was good. It was good. Talk. I'm looking forward to doing the next. Looking forward to doing the series.
However, I'm going to put someone on blast quickly regarding last week's episode. Where's the comment? One I'm going to butcher this name. Fun Verhow on Twitter.
Fun Verhow, yeah.
Fun Verhow. Apparently, we got a lot of stuff wrong.
Well, that's not surprising.
How dare you? I don't believe we've got anything wrong ever on this show.
Okay, go on.
What dare you?
Get wrong?
Apparently, all the information regarding Renfield was wrong. I did ask what, but I'm still waiting to hear a reply.
Okay.
So if you're hearing this one, Fun Verhow, thank you for your comment, and do get involved in the discussion.
Yeah.
We'll have a talk about Dr. Acula. Yes.
I mean, was that me trying to half remember?
Well, yeah, you did. You had more knowledge than I did. That's for sure.
But that was me sort of trying to half remember what was written in the novel. That it was however long ago it was that I read it. It doesn't surprise me that there was a few things wrong there.
Well, you mentioned about the majority of I guess the first act or the first 20 minutes is about Jonathan. Is it Jonathan who's there? Or is it about
in the novel?
It is Renfield.
In the novel it is, but it's Jonathan's replaced with Renfield in the film. Yeah. So yeah. Again, probably still misremembering it, but to my mind, it's Jonathan in the novel. It's Jonathan that goes to see Dracula first, as we know. It's implied that Renfield has previously met him.
Yeah.
But in the movie, we see Renfield going and sort of.
They have an introduction for the first time, don't they?
Yeah. But yeah, like I say, it was a long time ago I read that. I read that novel. I mean, the VOD may... I streamed it. It was a reading stream, and the VOD may well still be up on the channel, but I'm not sure.
Well, go check that out.
Not surprised that we got some stuff wrong. Misremembered.
I am, because I won't have it.
Because normally it's all so well researched.
We are, yeah. I mean, why would I get anything wrong that's been written on Wikipedia? Who would lie? Who would lie or edit? But yes, thank you for everyone who checked out Dracula. It's capped off the month of May for a wild month.
Yeah. And we do appreciate the comments.
Yep, the video passed 100 views.
Getting involved.
100 views, which is great. That was, I put the tweet out earlier. That was a wild month, and this is even wilder this month. But City of the Living Dead, the Shitwaters, Wishmaster General, and Dr. Acula. It was a good month. It was a good month. But when I lined up all four like thumbnails, they're just all so different. Each film. I mean,
again, this month is going to be the same, though.
This month is really going to be the same.
This month is all over the place as well.
Yeah.
Which I think's good. I think that's good.
Oh yeah.
You know, we've got a couple. Well, a few classics thrown in there, like another Universal. So it's an old classic.
Yeah.
I think we're doing another Fulci movie. So there's a big fan base for Italian horror.
Technically, we have a modern
films.
A modern
trauma films are excellent.
Trauma film, yeah,
and a modern one with Antrim. So yeah, it's good. They could. I think you're right. They couldn't be more different. But covering all bases. That's what we're doing.
Now, we got a few points before we get into today's episode. One thing I'm going to do live now on the pod is check our probably really heavily filled mailbag for questions, and there's none, so that's good. Let's get that's done. That's the mailbag done. But if you
want to send any questions, the dreadcastpod@gmail.com. I brought it up because I had to remember. Well, first of all, I had to remember that you told me it was my job to plug the email address, and then I immediately forgot about that. So yeah, the dreadcastpod@gmail.com. Send us your comments, questions, requests, discussion topics, and just say hi, get involved.
Sign it up to something.
Secret.
If you sign it up to something, then we'll know that someone has taken note of the email address.
Yeah,
and it means it's out there. Okay. The other points you've had a delivery.
I had a delivery. I did have a delivery. It's in the other room. I'm gonna if you can just if you don't want you can just talk about it. I mean, I'll just talk about it. So I can't remember which episode it was now, but on a previous episode, I did reveal and talk about a book that I picked up called My Favorite Horror Movie, which was a collection of interviews. Is interviews probably not really the right word, but essentially a lot of people from the horror world. It's journalists, podcasters, hosts, indie filmmakers. I think there's one or two sort of actors, bigger names in there as well. Each describing what got them into horror, their favorite horror film, and each essay is maybe it's a couple of pages at most.
Yeah,
and they talk about how they got into horror. This is the film that did it. They talk why they like whichever film it is. So that book is that was the first in three parts. So part 2, My Favorite Horror Movie 2, The New Blood, turned up on the doorstep yesterday, and yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. It's the same collection of people. There's a few bigger names in there this time that I immediately jumped out. So Harry Manfredini, the musical composer for all the Friday the 13th franchise, near enough.
Who came up with the well.
He did come up with the iconic Jason noise. He also did the music for Wishmaster as well, which was our.
How did we not talk about that?
And we did talk about it because we rarely talk about the music, to be honest, beyond it's good or really jarring or bad.
I have a few notes. I have a few notes of the sound design for today's episode.
I mean, I do too. But generally speaking,
shove that up,
we are
Manfredi. Yes.
And also Alex Vincent, who plays Andy in the Child's Play franchise.
Oh, the kid.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did he feature on any of the In Search for Darkness? I know the director did. I just feel like I've seen him in some sort of interviews.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In short, because there's a lot of people that turn
And
up
they're
on
quite
that.
long, actually.
But that's a good link. Basically, these books are kind of like that In Search of Darkness doc. It's a bunch of... Because they're all journalists, horror journalists. And,
mostly Fangoria.
Yeah, it's so it's similar bunch of people. But each entry, they all have their little Twitter handles there or Instagram things and a little list of credits of stuff they've done. So it's a fun way to find new films and new people to stalk on social media.
Are
That's what I'm all about.
Are you aware of this book that has been announced? Sent you on Discord. Speaking of what we were just talking about.
Ooh, no.
The In Search for Darkness definitive collector's
I'll definitely pick that
book.
up. I do really want to get the Blu-rays of the doc, but
me too.
Ridiculously expensive.
But this is expensive as well for UK shipping.
Yeah.
This is going to be over $100.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Damn.
But it's a tasty book.
I mean, it's probably worth just having a holiday to the States and just picking up a bunch of stuff, just taking an empty suitcase and getting a lot of stuff while we're there. But yeah, that's nice. That is nice. I've still got my eyes on those Child's Play ones that have been released as well.
Oh yeah,
The Growing Up with Chucky and the behind the scenes photo book as well.
yes, that would be awesome.
So that was my recent delivery. Well, that was my directly horror related recent delivery. I also got a couple of books on heavy metal, including one about the Norwegian black metal scene of the 90s, where all the bands were murdering each other and setting fire to churches. So
it's pretty horror related.
I mean, it is kind of horror, and also there is a film that has, which I watched the other night, Lords of Chaos. There's a film adaptation of it as well. So it is a little bit gory in places.
It's a little bit horror related. Yeah.
Technically, it's horror related, I guess. So I'm looking forward to reading that. The film was a good watch, actually. Lords of Chaos. Yeah, it's worth checking out.
Cool.
One of the Culkins plays
Kieran?
Euronymous. Yeah, I think it's Kieran. Plays Euronymous, the founder of Mayhem. Oh yeah, that was a good watch. So that's my sort of extracurricular horror stuff at the minute.
I think our joint extracurricular stuff, before we get into today's episode, would be us both experiencing the technical test demo for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game last weekend.
Yes, I mean I spoke a little bit about it last episode, but then you got your key because you got yours quite late, didn't you?
I forgot. You got it. You got it maybe the Friday night, and then played it the Saturday. Is it something like that? And then we recorded. We recorded after you played it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday morning, I got a key. I'm like, fuck. So Sunday, wait, no. Oh shit, no. We recorded Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So we recorded Sunday morning, and then edited it, and then I had to, but I did have to play Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
That was a busy day, but yes.
But you can talk about your experience of it because there's a little bit content related as well, isn't there? So go ahead, Tom.
Hello, viewers. Hello, gentle viewers. Yes, I recorded about an hour's worth of the gameplay of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Part 1 has actually just gone live on Dreadcast YouTube channel, which is _Dreadcast on YouTube. Go check it out. There's 2 videos. Part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, which will be Sunday, the 4th of June. And each video, first video is me playing as Leatherface. Second video is me playing as the cook. Only because I was pretty tired, and that's about all I could really muster. We can wait till August before we get the proper game. It's fine.
Oh, so you didn't play any Survivor stuff?
I didn't play any victims, as they're called. We've got family and victims. So it's one of those, kind of those. It's a Dead by Daylight style game, asymmetric multiplayer online horror bonanza. There we go.
Something like that. I think it's, to be honest, I think it's ASIM for short. I think somebody's thrown us a ball, so we don't have to remember.
ASIM.
I've heard them referred to as ASIMs.
A-Sims. So yes, I played about an hour of it. The first game I played, I was Leatherface. Quite happy. I did. You don't in the tech demo. You didn't get to choose. It was just random. You got to choose whether you want to play family or victims. I chose family because I was kind of hoping to play Leatherface, but it just randomly puts you in as a family character, and it's 3 versus 4. Again, my first experience with this type of game. I don't know if that is similar in those other games. Obviously, with Friday the 13th, it's surely just Jason versus survivors rather than 4 Jasons. Dead by Daylight, is that 1v?
I think that's 1v4.
Yeah, so this...
I've never played Dead by Daylight, I'm not sure, but I think it's 4.
So this felt different, even though I hadn't played the other ones. This 3 versus 4. And I could easily imagine one versus 4 would not have been for me. I think I would have got a bit bored of it. And the reason we're getting bored is I got a bit bored in the second game with the cook because it was me as the cook and the hitchhiker, I believe. I didn't know. I think Leatherface may have disconnected. There was a lot of disconnection going on.
Yeah.
And we were just
eager to jump back into that next game. That's what it is.
Yeah. Rage quitting or whatever. So it's 2 of us versus 1 survivor. But the map was huge, and I was starting to get a bit bored because I couldn't. There wasn't really anything to do.
Yeah, you played the second map, the slaughterhouse map.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in my video that the map felt like a Call of Duty map, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It was a nice map, but it felt like it was so that the level design of the map felt like a Call of Duty map. There were so many places to hide, stairs, up, down, left, right, back, forth. Like, it felt like a back in the day Call of Duty map. I don't know what it's like nowadays. Okay. But I spent a good 10, 15 minutes just walking fast before I figured out what the run button was with the cook. Not really doing an awful lot. I imagine the boredom would change a little bit if I was playing with, say, yourself or other friends. You could talk to them, but I'm kind of sat here recording myself going, yeah, we'll go get some blood for Grandpa. Okay, let's see what's around here. And there's only so much of that you can do before I'm repeating myself. So the game itself, thumbs up. I think it looks great for what it is. They're not the biggest studio, obviously. They haven't got the biggest history. They did the Friday the 13th game, but the game looks great. It feels true to the film, especially in the house, the Sawyer house. It's bigger, like you said. You got stuck in the basement. The basement is huge. The basement is fucking huge. Took me a while to get out of it, but everything about the house just feels right. I love the metal shutter doors feel tough, feel heavy. The animal skulls on the red wall, the dining room with the bones everywhere, the kitchen being basically an abattoir. It was great. And I think the nicest touch was, and I got this wrong in the video, the sunrise. It was the sunrise. It could have been the sunset. I didn't know which one was east or west, because there's also the sunset before the night of Sally's hell.
I think the 2 variations are sunrise and sunset on the map.
Right. Because you've obviously got sunrise right at the end of the film where she escapes and he's dancing with the chainsaw in the sunrise. So, yeah, I don't know what I played. It was either sunrise or sunset. But
I mean, I don't know how much of a difference it'll make, really.
No.
Slight
the sun is over there. He got it wrong.
I mean, like I said, as you hinted at there, I spent pretty much my entirety of my Leatherface playthrough trying to find my way out of the basement. I could not for the life of me. It wasn't even my first match at that point as well. I'd played like a half a dozen or something, but I could not find my way out of the basement at all. And then by the time I did, I think there was 1 survivor left.
Yeah.
And I got all the way up and I was like, oh great, I'm outside. And then one of the locating powers was activated and the last survivor was in the basement, making their way towards the basement exit. So I did absolutely nothing as Leatherface at all. It was good.
Yeah, same. I think I scratched the guy with Leatherface. I didn't do anything as a cook. A thing with Leatherface, which took me a while, again, new to this sort of game, took me a while to work out was, obviously each character's different. The cook is a bit faster, and his weapon is, there's no charge up for his weapon. It's instant. Leatherface chainsaw, you have to charge it up. Takes a good 2 seconds maybe, but it creates noise, which the victims, I assume, could hear. So if you turn your chainsaw off, you're a lot more quieter when trying to hunt your prey, shall we say. But when you find someone, if they see you, you're like, right, I got to stop. And then
is a little quick timey event. Timing, get the timing of the button clicks right or whatever.
And then you're kind of a couple of seconds behind chasing whoever you found. So, and did you try and swipe the chainsaw at all? See, it felt quite stiff, quite, I don't want to say slow.
I don't remember if I did, but I think I think, like you say, every character's different, and I think that's the trade-off. Leatherface is going to do the most damage, but be the slowest.
Yeah.
I mean, I played more when I was playing as the family. I only got one Leatherface match, but I got 2 or 3 as the Hitcher.
Oh.
And he's very fast. He's very, very quick, but does next to no damage, because I was running behind a character for what felt like a long time, like just slashing them and slashing them and slashing them, and they weren't dropping. And eventually they did. And that was the only kill I managed to get. And the person disconnected while the animation was going on. So it didn't even count on the scoreboard at the end. I was well annoyed. But yeah, obviously he's a lot faster. But the damage he does is very low. So that's your thing. I don't think I did swing the chainsaw as Leatherface. I spent most of my time. I mean, I immediately revved it, and then spent most of my time sawing through all the barricades that I could find in the basement, and then I locked myself in a room with a ladder, and then realised that Leatherface can't climb ladders, so I had to unlock the door and then go back out again.
Oh, shame you didn't record all this footage for
I mean, I could probably pull the VOD up when we can post it to the Twitter or something.
It seemed that like Leatherface is like the tank, and the Hitcher's probably the DPS, and the Cook as well, I guess. But the Cook also has I didn't clock this at first with Leatherface because I was trying to learn other things, but the Cook has 4 padlocks, so he can relock doors.
Yep.
So they sort of have their own individual traits, like skills. So I don't remember or didn't clock what Leatherface's was. It might be that he could
is the chainsaw.
Yeah,
I think it's the chainsaw
because he can take the barricades down. So I'm not sure. Did you see what the Hitchers were?
The Hitcher can lay traps. He can put like bear traps down.
Ah, cool.
Although they're not actually bear traps, I don't think. It's not like this cartoon Wile E. Coyote steel trap. It looks like it's fashioned something out of bones.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
If I remember rightly. I didn't use them very much, so I don't know, but I did get a glimpse of somebody playing and getting caught in one, and I think they look like they're made out of bone, but it's some sort of like placeable trap.
Yeah,
I think he gets 4 of them, as many locks as the Cook gets, I guess. But yeah, Leatherface's sort of skill is just having the chainsaw, I think. I mean, the Cook's got that listening power as well, where he can hear people, which works quite well.
I think
it peaks in the direction of the.
Yes, yeah, it did. Yeah. The one thing I mentioned to you earlier about how there was a tweet put out by one of the dev team members saying that they only had the interactive rights for the first film. That could hinder, I think, the longevity of the game.
Yeah.
Like, how many maps can you really get out? Because you're stretching it with the slaughterhouse, really.
I mean, yeah, because there is only really one location there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe you could do. I can't remember what the name is, but it's the grandparents' house.
Yeah,
Sally's grandparents' house.
Yeah,
that's next door, isn't it? It's essentially the property next door. maybe the cemetery that they visit.
Possibly, yeah.
But and I suppose the gas station stroke barbecue thing and some surrounding woodland or whatever.
You're really scratching.
But that's it. But for movie locations, that is it. I mean, the slaughterhouse is a big stretch because you don't even really see it. In the movie.
They drive past it.
They drive past it. You don't see any of the interior or anything like that. So that that is it for locations tied in with the movie in terms of maps, and then you basically that's it for characters as well because they've got. I think they've already said they're going to have the 3 different versions of Leatherface when he's Sunday best and when he's got his wig and makeup on.
Yeah.
And nobody else has any other costumes.
No.
So
there's so much more they could do if they did have the rights, though, which is we'll see. But I for one am looking forward to it. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Was there anything else I need to say about it? I personally didn't have any issues with it, gameplay wise. Like technical wise, I didn't disconnect myself. No glitches, no bugs.
I had one match where I was playing as the cook and the movement was really off. I don't know what was wrong with it. At first I thought it was possible because I was streaming it on Twitch at the time as well, and I thought it was the computer having a panic attack about running the game and streaming at the same time. But in hindsight, I think it was just a bug. Movement was just off. Is the best way I can describe it. It was a little bit slow. It was a little bit jerky. It wasn't running properly. Everything seemed sort of mistimed. Like the nothing was responding to key presses like at the right moment. Everything felt a little bit delayed. But it was only, like I say, it was just one match. And the rest of the time, it was fine. I had no falling through the scenery, no random disconnects or anything like that. Everything worked really, really well. Yeah,
same. I think all in all, very much took. I mean, what 2.5 months? Like it's really not long. So
no.
I doubt there'll be any more tests, or there might be one more technical test, but
they might do one more.
Yeah, I mean it's not a game that's getting a physical release. It's going to be straight digital, so it's not like they have to wait on that either. So no, looking forward to it. I think we can have a lot of fun. I think we can have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, do go check out my rushed, dodgy, barely content. Really selling it here. Texas Chainsaw Massacre game technical test videos. 1 is out now. 2nd is out tomorrow, Sunday, 4th of June, on the Dreadcast YouTube channel. Do we have anything else to get into before we get into the film?
I think that's all the housekeeping done.
Oh, one bit of housekeeping, but this is a quick one, and I'm going to be only because we've talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm trying to come up with a this week in horror sort of little section. And it's actually a lot harder than I thought, so that's why I'm going to keep it short.
Okay.
A couple of films that released. This is going to be really naff.
Oh, historically,
yes. So
interesting.
40 years ago today, Psycho 2 released, which is actually a solid film.
Yeah, Psycho 2 is good.
You know, a lot of people, you think with famous horror films, we don't need a sequel. No, Psycho 2 works. If you've never seen it, it's brilliant. And 41 years ago tomorrow, Poltergeist released. So,
excellent.
Yeah, there we go. That's that done. I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it. But it might bring up some films you've never heard of or before. So just like Psycho 2, you've never heard of it. You've definitely never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
You don't know what it is. You've barely even heard of Psycho. Go watch that, and then we'll go watch Psycho 2, okay? God. Right, should we talk about today's film?
Let's talk about today's film. What is today's film, Tom? Tell the nice people listening.
Today's film, you lovely, lovely people out there, is part 2 of our Gates of Hell trilogy, which not our Gates of Hell trilogy, not personal. Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy, as we started with City of the Living Dead last month, and as we're picking films each month individually, like you picked a film, I pick a film. I just felt, why don't we just do the Gates of Hell trilogy for the next 3 months? Get them 3 done, get them out of the way, push them aside, because especially this film today has been on my to watch list for some time. Mm-hmm. And this is basically part 2. Now the trilogy isn't not a continuous story.
No, it's a loose trilogy.
Yeah,
isn't it? Just based on themes.
Yeah,
and certain plot elements, but there's nothing that directly links them.
Not directly. As I coyly hold up my drink.
I mean, narratively, like you say, it's not.
No.
It's not repeating characters.
So yes, today we were talking about The Beyond, and not From Beyond, which when I wanted to originally watch this ages ago, I got so confused. I watched From Beyond, which actually is a great horror film as well. Nice little Lovecraftian film.
And not 2017's The Beyond, which kept coming up as I was searching for this, which is a space thing, a sci-fi thing.
I vaguely remember that, and I vaguely remember it flopping.
I mean, scientists transplant human brains into synthetic bodies and send them through a wormhole. Why? That sounds because you can.
Tell me
science. Why. So it's not that one.
No, it is the 1981 The Beyond, and only a year after the City of the Living Dead. Like the Italians pumped out these films so quick.
They did.
It's mad.
In fact, House by the Cemetery, the third of the Gates of Hell trilogy, is also 81, I think.
It is. That's mental. That's insane. Wow. Okay. Well, we will be catching up with House by the Cemetery next month, and that will cap off our Gates of Hell trilogy. Now, did you enjoy this film?
I enjoyed this film a lot more than I enjoyed City of the Living Dead, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ditto.
I think it suffered a little bit because I think one of our main issues with City was the pacing. Yeah. It had some odd pacing, and I think this did tail off a little bit in the middle, but it ramped up at the end absolutely fantastically. That final section in the hospital had me howling with laughter. I loved it.
It had me. I was getting angry. I was getting angry in that scene because of how stupid they were being.
Are we talking headshots?
Yes.
Yeah, that annoyed me.
But he already did it. And then it worked. And then stopped giving them headshots.
He repeatedly, and there's one that comes up right next to him and he shoots it in the stomach.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting massively ahead of ourselves, but yeah, the end.
How do you have a gun?
It was great. Dr. John. Was it John or Jason?
Is that his name? Like Dr. John?
I mean, he's got an actual full name, I think. Dr. John McCabe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Another Dr. John is a standout hero. He must be related to the pickaxe guy. Because he has some equally ludicrous reactions to stuff. He's so angry in that final act. I love it.
Yeah, he should not be carrying a gun.
He should not.
No.
But again, we should probably wait until later on to cover it. But as we're on the subject,
yeah, as we're on it, let's talk about the ending. Fuck you.
He comes out. He says, "I'm a doctor. I'll only accept rational explanations," and then immediately pulls a revolver out of a drawer.
Yeah,
the guy's an absolute hero. I loved him.
Just whips it out. Yeah.
So yes, generally speaking, I enjoyed this movie a lot, and a lot more than City. So yeah,
Agreed.
it was good.
I, for the most part, agree with that. And we both watched this morning because we're very busy. We're very busy people. Yeah. And, it's more professional to watch it closer to when you're going to talk about it. So you're more fresh, obviously. When I messaged you this morning, I think I said, like, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really into this. I was about halfway through. It wasn't long after that I was starting to dwindle a bit with it about, this is really just starting to feel like another Fulci being Fulci film.
About halfway through, it started dragging for me a little bit.
The plot started off, the narrative was there at the beginning, and then it started to feel like, okay, Fulci and whoever screenwrote this came up with the plot, but they wanted to get their more priority was to get the gruesome stuff in. Where can we fit the gruesome gore and specific scenes in, and then we'll make the narrative secondary to that.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like. Like we said, the end just went off the rails.
The end was like an episode of Dark Place, Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Oh man.
Like, I mean, I'd be very surprised if like that didn't take some inspiration from this movie, because it just needed Matt Berry giving it some Rick Douglas. You and he were buddies.
It's been a while.
Just needed a bit of that flavour.
Everything needs a bit of Matt Berry.
I mean, it does. Agreed. But yeah, no, I'll agree with you there. I was around the 45-minute. In fact, I distinctly it was around the 45-minute mark. So I checked, because I thought I was starting to get a little fed up, and I was like, how much longer is if this is going to be it for the rest of the movie? How much of it is there left? And it did save itself in that last 20 minutes.
I have a lot of notes on the last scene, the last hospital scene, actually. So
we
should maybe
think as well.
We'll get back to that then, because there's one that I really need to talk about. One specific gunshot, shall we say?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
Right. Well, let's start at the beginning. So we have, like you say, we had a bit of a cold opening with
very cold.
Everything in sepia tone.
Yes,
which
I love that touch.
I liked it. Yeah. Because to show you that it was happening in olden.
It was
times.
old.
I mean, not necessarily that old, but I think we learned later on it was like 6 years previously or something.
No, it's 1927.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it says right at the beginning where it says Louisiana, 1927.
Maybe I did not notice that. I was thinking about something else. One of the bodies they find later, he says it's only 6 years old.
Oh, wow. I was definitely paying much attention.
We'll get to it. So yeah, everything's all sepia toned, and we have the warlock painting.
Yes. Can you pronounce his name?
No.
I wrote it down in is it when you write something how it sounds, is it funicular?
Phonetically.
Funicular's a railway. It's not funicular. I wrote it down phonetically. I think it's Schweik. So I wrote Shvike.
Yes.
Not sure if I was close.
Schweick. So not far off.
Okay. Schweik the warlock, as he's called the warlock later on in.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, he's alluded to being a warlock, but by the people the men that come with pitchforks and
in their boats. They come in their boats.
Yeah. And they don't seem to really be at a hurry, do they? They're just
just
sailing away.
It's a casual little river cruise, and we might murder a warlock.
Yeah. But when they called him a warlock, I thought at that point they were just using it as a term rather than describing him, which he apparently was, and painting his painting of hell. I guess one of the gates, the entries to hell.
Yeah, this fits in nicely with your little fetish about about liking to see the different depictions of hell.
You say that,
actually a
sir.
fetish.
You say that. Let me scroll down to one of my notes. Where are you? Here it is. What seems to be a recurring theme when a horror film centers around unleashing hell. I want to see the creative side of what their hell looks like.
See.
I want to see it, and I saw it. It's only something.
Yeah.
It was only something small, but it was something. Because most of the time when we see said gate in this film opening, like the gate in the City of the Living Dead, it's done from the hell's first person perspective, looking at our heroes.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually see into it. It's just darkness. So I really like that touch. It's just something. Mm-hmm. And that painting's cool, yeah.
It was good. But yeah, they accuse him of being a warlock, and as they're whipping him, I've got a note that just says "whip the warlock"
with steel chains.
Yeah, they properly thrash him.
Yeah,
they properly thrash him, and then nail him to a wall and dissolve him with like lime. I'm presuming it is.
I'm not sure. I just put white stuff.
White stuff. They melt him with white stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'm just taking a guess. I'm assuming it's lime. This, and just as a note, this film likes melting people.
Fulci. It's the melting and it's the eyeballs. It's Fulci.
It is definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of eyeball stuff, but there is a lot of melting going on. So yeah, he gets So he gets nailed to the wall with a wonderful delayed reaction to that first nail going in. Yeah. It's just a beat too long before he starts screaming.
And you can see how the effect is done. Not in a bad way. The effect is really well done. How the actor's hand is coming through the wall while the prosthetic arm is slapped against the wall.
Yeah.
And that's what they nail into. But the blood pours. It's like a tap has been turned on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's... I don't know, to me, it's gruesome.
It is. I mean, again, Fulci and Italian horror, there is a lot of gruesome. A lot of blood pumping, and a lot of like really loud water effects over sound effects over that blood. Like there was a few moments in this film where I really noticed the sound effects. Yeah, either because they were slightly wrong for what they were covering, or they were just extra loud. And I think whenever we saw close up of gushing wounds and blood pumping, they seem to be an overly loud drip, 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 drip. That sounded like you say, like a tap running.
That was specifically notable when the female in the morgue her face was being melted by sulfuric acid, and that was really crazy sound design. But for the most part throughout the film, especially when we're seeing the Walking Dead, quote unquote, very animalistic. The audio, the sound design. It wasn't just all like, there was a lot of animalistic sort of, I don't know, maybe they put microphones to boars, or because I've seen that happen before. Mm-hmm. Very unnatural sounds, unnerving sounds.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't that, it was that incredibly like banging synthwave track that was all 80s. Over the place. Yeah, but it was great. I loved it. So yeah, guy gets nailed to the wall, and we're also told at this point that the hotel where they're in, or the house that I guess they're in, is that later becomes a hotel, or is going to be a hotel, is built over this gate. Because of course it is. It's a killer trope.
Yeah, we talked about it.
A house
built over something evil.
Built over something evil.
Yeah. It's one of the 7 doors of evil, but there's also the book
7 dwarves of evil.
Did I say that?
No, you didn't, but immediately that's where my brain went.
That's next month's film. We'll be doing. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs of Evil.
Of evil.
That's the horror version. That license, Disney have lost that license now, so that's been made. there's also their version, their own Necronomicon, the Idon, sorry, I think it's pronounced the Idon book. I feel like this needed more play in the film. This book,
yeah, it does. It crops up a few times, and suddenly it seems to be really important to Liza, the main character,
Liza.
Liza. Yeah, it seems there's a couple of points where it seems to be really important, but it's not really explored enough. We're not really given too much about it. We also keep seeing a symbol that's first introduced in the prologue. There is a quite distinct. I mean, it's quite distinct, but difficult to describe because it doesn't really. It's a cross.
It's a
with
crucifix.
Like an S coming off the bottom of it, I guess, is the easiest way to describe. I was convinced when I first saw it that I not that I knew what it was, but that I'd seen it before and that it was something recognizable. So on the bookshelf behind me, I have like a big book. I think it is literally called something like the Big Book of Occult Signs and Symbols.
Shit.
Yeah. And I paused the movie and I went and got it and I sat and flipped through this thing and it's not in there. And then I Googled it because that would have been a more sensible thing to do in the first place. And it turned out that it's made up for the movie. So it's not a real thing at all. And apparently I found a couple of different sources, in inverted commas, sources, claiming this, but it was based on a tattoo that Fulci's daughter had that he hated, so he made it into an evil symbol for his movie. Which I really hope is true.
Basically, hell. My daughter got this, and I'm going to use it as the symbology for hell. You can, by the looks of it, you can get it on a T-shirt print. You can get it as a mug.
I mean, it does. I think it has sort of like gained a little bit of a bit of recognizable, marketability or whatever for Fulci fans. It also apparently crops up in another Fulci movie called Conquest, a sword and sorcery affair that he did, which, having looked up, if it had been it's available to rent or whatever on Prime, if it had been there to watch on Prime, I would have done a Fulci double bill this morning because it sounds brilliant. It's
Conquest. There we go. 83. Two warriors wage battle against an assortment of vicious beasts and monsters. This is you all over.
Yeah.
And monsters dispatched by a demonic demigod. Yeah, that sounds wild.
100%. I want to see that. So,
oh my god, this man has a laser bow and arrow.
Yeah. See? What's not to like?
I had one of them in Elden Ring. Oh, and the artwork. Wow. Okay, yeah, we'll put that aside for now. We'll look at that.
Yeah. So anyway, I learned about that, but yeah, apparently the symbol crops up in there. But yeah, I hope the story of the tattoo is true because
that's fantastic.
I just find that hilarious. Like I said, it was mentioned at several different forums by several different people, so I'm assuming it's either a very common, urban legend, or it's true. But everybody seems to be claiming that that's the
I'd go with that
behind it. It's good enough. So that's our little prologue to the main film where we get the setup of.
There's also the fact he's in room 36. It
just keeps shooting back to that, doesn't it? As the film goes
the
number 36 is relevant.
Yeah, the number's not significant. It's just the number of the room he was in. Like 36 doesn't mean anything. It just because it becomes the building becomes a hotel later on. There's like a buzzer from each room that links down to a machine downstairs, and if you press it, the machine goes off, and the room keeps going off. So like a paranormal activity sort of style.
Yeah.
But there's no significance to the number. It's just that room, so you know which room Shrike was in, basically doing his warlocky deeds.
His painting, his warlock painting.
His happy little, just a happy little dead corpse down here, and just a bit of evil here.
It's just a happy little field of corpses.
Thank you for joining me, the warlock today, and have a great week. We'll see you next week for some more hell.
That's Bob Ross if he was a warlock.
Which he isn't. He's a gem. Was.
He's a gem. He was
That's
an
our
drill sergeant previously.
Shut up.
Yeah, straight up. Look it up.
He's like Arlie Ermery, yeah?
Yeah. Like, it's obviously ridiculously surprising based on everybody's impression of him. But yeah, he was badass.
How are you today, my friend?
So then we come, forward in time to Liza, who has inherited the hotel and is hoping to do it up, to swank it up and reopen it.
Speaking of Liza, quickly, did you catch the actress who plays her?
I did not. She looked familiar. It's Catriona McCall.
It was in City of the Living Dead.
Oh.
She was the one at the seance who got buried alive and nearly got her head caved in with a pickaxe.
It was.
Yep.
Oh,
and she is apparently in House by the Cemetery. She is in the trifecta.
Oh, there you go then. That's the link.
That's what I was saying. There's that loose connection.
That's the link. I think I wondered as well if the little boy is in House by the Cemetery.
The little boy at the end of City of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Who the screen cracks on his face.
Mm-hmm. It may not be, but I was looking at House by the Cemetery earlier and thought the kid looked familiar. Oh yeah, okay, that's cool. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little link.
Miss McCall back for all of them. So yeah, she's who's she talking to in that scene? She's telling somebody about how she's going to open this.
In what scene?
Where she's explaining, because you've got the painters like up on the gantry and
yeah,
she's talking to somebody and I can't remember who it was now.
I can't remember, but it could be Martha. I assume she was like a housemaid. There was Martha. There's Arthur. There's Joe, and I believe which one was the plumber?
Joe the plumber. I've got a note about Joe the plumber.
Yeah, he's the one that gets it.
No,
bad.
it's previous to that, and she's talking to. I'm sure it's a man because he's trying to convince her to do something.
Could be Arthur. Could be this other guy.
It could be. It's probably not very important anyway. But yeah, essentially, she's sort of saying, "Oh no, the guys will have it painted like fairly quickly.
Yeah,
and, it'll be open soon or whatever." And then we cut to one of the unfortunate painters getting a little fright through one of the windows.
Yeah. One thing I got to say about that though, that I felt was a constant throughout the film. The jump scares worked. No, not in the sense of I was, but they worked in the sense of I could. These didn't feel like they were cheap jump scares because
not forced.
As we talked about in our horror cliches, which you should go back and watch, folks. A lot of cheap jump scares nowadays rely on the audio. They build it up, and then silence, and then it's a big scream in your face, right on the screen. Mm-hmm. This wasn't it. Like. We were happily bobbing along nicely with a bit of painting on the side, and then suddenly there's these white eyes in the window. You did not see it coming at all. You did, because we had our prologue, shall we say? Then we were starting the film off, but no, straight in with the jump scare, and it worked.
Yeah, it is, and I guess letting us know that this hotel is haunted, or there's something supernatural going on. And yeah, that poor painter takes an absolute header off that scaffolding.
Well, he popped his blood capsule about a second before he hit the ground. Because he was about to hit the ground and the blood was just coming out of his mouth already. So
well, this is what I was going to say on the subject of blood. because I thought, oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, he's fallen off there and he's dead. And then the next scene,
Yeah.
they've moved him, but he's fallen 15 feet off a scaffold. You should never, health and safety and first aid says you should never move somebody in that position, in that situation, because you don't know what damage they've done to their back or their spine or whatever. No, they've carried him inside, put him on the sofa, and he is pissing blood. Like, it's coming out of his mouth. It's all over the place. And it's like, if he's bleeding that much, just leave him outside. Why have you brought him in?
And he's a cold compress, a nice quilt, and a cup of tea, and he'll be fine. His mouth is a waterfall of blood. It's just
he can't get his lines. What few little lines he has, he can't get them out.
And they're questioning him. They're questioning the poor bastard.
So what did you say?
Now, on the point of who he sees, it's obviously Emily, who we'll talk about in a bit. But
yes.
Emily is the woman at the beginning, right? At the beginning, 1927, I believe. Because, spoiler, we find out this woman with the white eyes is a ghost. But I believe that is her at the beginning recanting whatever paragraph it was about the 7 gates of hell. So I just want to check it must be. It couldn't have been another person.
No, I'm pretty sure it's her. Although there was a scene later on where I completely mistook one character for somebody else, which we'll get to when it comes up. But I was convinced that one person had basically been resurrected because they appeared, and then I thought they died and appeared again, but it turned out not to be the case. It was just me, a momentary lapse of conversation.
Were you thinking of Martha, the brunette? Yes, I thought it was
Martha
her in the morgue.
Being the woman in the hospital. Yes,
I thought it was her as well. Yeah.
Right, good, because I had this whole note about how she can just wander into the morgue and start messing with any old body she wants, somebody she barely knows.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Up again like 10 minutes later, and I was like, hang on a minute, she's dead. What's going on?
She is now.
But then I realised there's another character that obviously bears quite a strong resemblance to her. Because I had, but it was extra confusing because I had a whole little romantic subplot going on thinking that this person was Martha. Because not long after that, we're introduced to Joe the plumber.
We are indeed.
And Joe the plumber rocks up, and he looking very much like an incredibly buff Tommy Chong.
Cheech and Chong. Okay, I had to think for a second.
And that was my first thought. I was like, oh, he looks like Tommy Chong. And then I noticed he was like a lot filled out. Ruggedly awesome. And I wasn't the only person that noticed. Martha immediately to shine to Joe the plumber. She wants a bit of that, and I think it's reciprocated.
Oh yeah.
So I was convinced that later on in the morgue, because spoiler, Joe gets got.
Very much so.
I thought it was Martha wandering in to like dress his corpse.
Yeah, same. And the person that obviously isn't Martha, does an incredible job of sitting there knitting up an outfit that apparently ends up being a 3-piece suit for this gentleman. For Joe. How long did that take?
All the while the daughter's just sat in the corridor. But I was convinced it was Martha, and I was like, she can't just wander in to like start messing with this body. Like, for a start, I understand that maybe there's some sort of procedure where, a situation where you need to go and identify a body or whatever. But I was like, she doesn't know this person. He's a guy that she made a sandwich for, that she just fancied a bit. Like, and all of a sudden she's in the morgue with all the other bodies that are just around the place. Yeah,
we need to talk about the morgue, but because I have points about that more. But before we get to the morgue, Joe's death.
Yeah, because go back to.
Well, no, just I think I'm remembering it wrong, but he's there just because there's a flood in the basement, right?
Yeah, no, there's no water.
Yeah,
there's no water coming out in any of the taps, but the basement's flooded.
But as he's there, is it where the water is leaking into the basement, or does he just decide, this looks a bit iffy, this wall. I'll just start scratching at it and start, oh, this is going a bit further now. And then a hand reaches through.
He starts chiseling around the pipes, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
Chiseling around the pipes because the pipes are draining more. And again, we have another weird sound effect point because as he's hammering, chiseling into, I mean, presumably brick or, you know, a plaster covered stone or something like that. It sounds very much like broken glass. It's like ching, 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 ching. It's like the sound effects are way off here. So yeah, another point about Joe the sexy plumber looking like Buff Tommy Chong immediately lights up a cigarette.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, she's telling him about the problems, and he's just like, yep.
Well, smoking was cool back then.
It totally was.
You know.
Yeah. So
he really gets got. He really gets got, and I was actually quite shocked that we got the eyeball, the first eyeball gross scout scene this early on. I mean, we're only 20 minutes in, maybe 15, 20 minutes in.
I mean, about that, yeah.
Yeah. And as he's chiseling away at this wall, and he just basically, I think he literally opens the gate to hell. I believe by breaking through this wall is the gate to hell, is the door, one of the doors to hell, and
I guess so.
An arm, again, a fairly okay jump scare. I feel like you would have expected something, but it's quite a good jump scare. And then there was another good jump scare before this, which I actually noted down, was when the buzzer for room 36 went off. Eliza was just talking to someone, and suddenly you don't expect it.
Yeah.
It didn't build you up to think, okay, here we go, here it comes. No, it was out of the blue.
Just go for it.
And they're good. But Joe's one there, this gross decaying hand just leaps out of darkness, grabs his... It's very precise. It grabs his face, but with the first finger, scrapes his eyeball out.
Wipes his eye out.
Things like that are so much more grotesque and disturbing, I think, than, say, Rhodes getting torn in half and gutted in Day of the Dead. I mean, it depends how your blood looks, depends how the effects look, but as a gore scene as a whole, eye being gouged out like that is another level to me.
And it looks good. I mean, I think all the effects look reasonably good. They all work reasonably well. There's a few iffy bits with puppets and such, but you know.
I think that as well, the Italian blood is very red. Very red. Where it needs to be a bit darker. Like, I remember Savini always said, like, you need the green. You need a bit of green in it. It's not so poster painty red like the original Dawn of the Dead, but I mean, that's what they had to work with at the time. So Joe is now at the morgue, very dead.
Very, very dead.
The morgue. What? This was my first instance, and I was proven right towards the end with the scene we alluded to earlier about the end scene in the morgue / hospital, or what? I don't know if it is a hospital or whatever it is.
It is a hospital because there's a sign outside that just says hospital on it. Because from the front, it looks like a Bel Air mansion. You'd literally expect Will Smith to rock up.
Jazz getting chucked out.
It's a big, white, pillared entrance sort of thing. But there is a little sign next to it, stuck into like the flower bed that just says hospital on it. The morgue room, it had like a sort of 2001 Kubrick Space Odyssey feel to it with all these... It's very sci-fi with the way things are fanned out and laid out. Yeah, it does.
And as, again, like we talked about earlier, and we'll talk about later on about the final scene, it's what I talked about in Wishmaster about you could tell this was not shot on site anywhere. This is a set because all the panes of glass or windows are frosted. So you can't see through them or see out because there is no outside. It's a studio.
I mean, arguably it's a morgue, so you don't want people looking in there. But
every pane of glass.
But I think you're right. Yeah.
It's wild that room.
But
though.
yeah, it does look very.
Feels like it needs some control panels and buttons that do nothing.
It is just missing. Yeah, very clean. Like it's like you say, 2001 or like Doctor Who. Doctor Who.
And there's just like
weird sci-fi vibe to it.
5 bodies or 5 or 6 bodies just laying there. There doesn't seem to be any sign of pull out chest of like freezers for the bodies, or
as we find out later on, because it's got a stand-up corpse fridge
for the cadavers.
They don't have the usual stainless steel pull-out drawers like you'd expect, like we've seen in every other morgue scene ever. No, there's a scene where somebody opens the freezer and all the corpses are just stood up in there.
Reminding me of the beginning of Return of the Living Dead, where they're at the you need a medical supply, and they're talking about the cadavers, and they got the cadavers standing up. Like, fine, but this is a fucking morgue. Oh yeah, it's a wild design. I mean, it's different.
Yeah,
is it different for the right reasons? No.
It's probably just it just feels like you want to just sort of tap the set art director or whatever on the shoulder and just say, just go and have a look at a morgue. Just take the time, have an extended look on your lunch break, whatever. Just have a look at one.
Can you just go have a look, please?
Because what you've got here is not it, my friend. Is not it.
They need a weapons expert from City of the Living Dead to talk to him about how to use a pickaxe. They need a better art director. Just little things.
The guy who learned I'm convinced the guy learned how to use that pickaxe from Dr. John McCabe.
Yeah.
We will get there. But that guy's a maniac. But it is Dr. John, isn't it, that's in there doing the autopsy,
and an assistant
with his assistant.
Yeah,
and his assistant. Basically, they have this little back and forth whereby they get this. He remarks that the body is 6 years old. He says it's in remarkably good conditions for a 6 year, unless he says 60 years. But I could have sworn it was 6. It's in good condition for a 6-year-old corpse. And they have a little back and forth. And then the assistant... do we find out his name? Is it Hendrix? Is it the same guy from... I think
is it... Does he say that because Joe's body is first... We only watched this a few hours ago. Joe's body is first found, I believe, right? But doesn't another body get found? Down
there's 2 bodies.
Yeah,
Martha finds Joe.
Yeah,
she finds another body, and I thought that was the body of the guy from the beginning.
Schweik.
That's nailed the warlock. Schweik. Yeah. I figured it was Schweik's body.
Yeah, no, it's definitely 1927. Yeah,
but then the doctor says this corpse is in remarkably good condition for a 6-year-old corpse or something. Words to that effect. He definitely says 6 years. But anyway, the assistant doesn't want to proceed with an autopsy straight away. He wants to hook it up to a brainwave machine.
Oh, I forgot about this.
For absolutely no discernible reason whatsoever. This man is supposed to be a medical professional. I mean, I'm no doctor, but I'm fairly certain there is no advantage to hooking a corpse up to a brainwave machine. Certainly not one that's been dead for a period of up to 6 years.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV.
I mean, even that level of credential should tell you that there's no point to this. It's not explained, and the other doctor basically just goes, all right, well, you know, have your fun.
Yeah.
But when I come back, I'm doing an autopsy. And it's like, why are you encouraging this? Because this is weird behavior.
I think, reading now, it does say the bodies of both Joe and Shrike were discovered. So I'm going to assume they're talking about maybe Shrike, and he said 60, because
maybe he said 60, maybe it was
27 plus 60, 87. He could be like rounding up to 60 years, you know.
Yeah.
It could be that.
Makes more sense.
We'll probably get it wrong, but we don't normally do that, so just bear with us if we got a bit of a tiny bit of information wrong. Yeah. Oh, he's leaving. He's leaving.
Let's move that cushion. No, I'm not having it. It's 6 years. No, 60 does make more sense. But yeah, I was definitely thinking that was Schweig's body.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand what this brainwave machine business is.
It looked cheap as well. The prop of the machine looked really cheap with the little radar. It looked more like a radar than like a heart monitor sort of graph that you'd get in a hospital. You know, the beep beep, beep beep. This looked like a circular green radar. It was like a ship was coming in.
It's an oscilloscope, isn't it? That's what it's called, which it is used to display the waveform of electronic signals. But why?
Is that really the first thing you do? Is that the first thing?
I mean, it's not.
No.
It shouldn't be a thing that you do.
No, not
at any point, no.
Yeah,
what is he trying? But it doesn't exist as the thing. It doesn't explain it. It just kind of goes, oh, we could, because he says something about, oh, we'll do an autopsy, and the other guy, oh, we could. And he's like, all right, use your brainwave machine then. But it's like, why? What are you trying to prove? That he's dead? We know that he's dead.
Just get inside it. Look at its guts. Let's have a look.
Corpse.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Especially if you've said, 60 years. What are you trying to achieve from this?
So he hooks it up there, and then immediately leaves the room, like after a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
He immediately leaves the room. Although then we do see some sort of activity, beep beep beep, on the thing, which shows
just so happens to happen. Yeah.
There's something spooky going on.
Just when he leaves.
But at this point, not Martha arrives with her daughter.
Is it now?
It's now.
Is it now? Is it now?
It is.
I thought it was a bit later on.
No,
I genuinely thought it was a bit later. Oh, okay. All right.
No, it's at this point.
Because I thought my favourite scene of the film was next. On the bridge.
On the bridge. Oh. Yeah, that might be right. I just don't think I made a note about that.
It wasn't long, but...
Oh, no, that is before.
Before. They go back and forth.
We jump to the bridge after Joe gets his eyes gouged, and then we jump to the bridge, and Eliza meets Emily, the blind lady.
This was probably my favourite shot of the film. I thought the cinematography was really good on this. Also because this bridge is 23 miles long, I found out. It's nuts. It's endless.
It is weird. At first, I thought it was a dream sequence at first, because it was just so radically different to everything else, and she meets this woman in the middle of this bridge. The first shot of it is just the camera above the bridge, but the bridge is heading towards the horizon. It just looks so endless. So it goes with what you said about dream. And as Liza's driving down, you see the image of Emily and Dickie, the dog, standing in the middle of the road. And it's a really nice shot. Really nice shot. It's not long. It's basically the first meeting between Emily and Liza. Yeah.
But as I didn't know much about this film, I thought, we got the jump scare from this woman at the beginning. She's now in the middle of this road with a dog. Are you our antagonist? Are you the evil? Like, this feels a bit weird. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
I was pleasantly happy that it wasn't. But no, there's something about it. I think because it just didn't feel like it fit, especially the rest of the film. I love this scene.
Yeah. but yeah, it was just after that Martha finds Joe.
That's it.
And then we have another scene with Emily trying to persuade Liza to close the hotel and give up on the venture and leave.
Yeah.
But she can't tell her why. She's like, oh, well, why should I? She's like, I can't explain it. Just do as I say.
That's as bad as when people. That's as bad as when people answer people like that with riddles.
Yeah.
Just tell me an answer. Just give me a straight answer. So frustrating.
So it's that, and then we have it chops back and forth, and then we have the morgue scene with the doctor.
Yes.
So it's just after this that not Martha turns up. I
was
was convinced
not Martha.
not Martha. I was convinced it was Martha turning to see to Joe, and I was like, she can't just walk into the morgue and start dressing this corpse that she has no relation to.
Which, in a theory, this should be a criminal investigation. Joe has, in theory, been murdered.
Oh yeah. There's nothing to suggest that this is accidental. He didn't get some plumbing wrong and get his eye gouged out.
No,
it's definitely suspicious.
So
that's weird. That's a good point. There's no police involvement whatsoever.
No,
absolutely none.
Nothing. So there's just this body. He doesn't even ask anyone to go into that room. She just walks into this room. There's corpses there. She's gone to get the corpses. She went to get
the daughter outside.
Yeah. You said, here, I'm going to get the corpses, dear.
But that's what I mean as well. If it was like a legit or to identify the body situation, they don't just like go, well, which one?
No. Is this yours? Is he with you?
It's one of these. Let me just have a look. It doesn't work like.
What if they're all burnt to crisp?
Exactly.
I don't know.
So she's in there, and as you say, she starts cutting. It wasn't clear what she was doing at first. She just starts randomly cutting a piece of material, and then it fades out and cuts back to a full suit, Joe's body in a dress.
Fine.
And fitted with rosary beads and like ready for burial. She's come in. She's done the job.
Lovely.
And while that's going on.
She faints.
She sees. Does she see something?
I don't know, because I just put down, why did she faint?
Because I think she reacts to something and screams.
Yeah.
And all we see is the acid bubbling out of the bottle.
And the bottle falls over as well.
And the bottle falls over.
It's like it's on a trolley or table behind her, conveniently where she falls.
Yeah. So I think we're meant to think that she sees something horrific and reacts to that and faints. What I took from that was she had a horribly violent fainting episode at the sight of some acid. Like it's. Admittedly, the acid was like leaping out of the bottle. But the way I viewed it was, it's like she's reacting to that happening, but I don't think that's what's actually
there's
being implied.
A potential other reason, and I noted it down a lot later on when we got to the whole Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call them zombies. I was calling them the dead, like I did in The Living Dead. How back in City of the Living Dead, they were kind of reanimated corpses, but they were more magical. They were more mystical. They could teleport. This was just evil. This was just no pun intended. This was just Evil Dead. And they're a little bit like this in this, because later on in the scene with Emily. She might be in another house or the hotel. That's her death scene, which is weird because she's a ghost. And they teleport there. They just appear. So it's like, is there some sort of magical evilness happening in the morgue with, like, Joe's body is dead, but he's still in theory alive, but in an evil presence way, and he's fucking with her head, made her collapse. Like, it's not clear.
It's not clear. I mean, I thought it wasn't so much Joe's body; it was the other one. It was the Schweik.
Yeah.
I thought it was that one. But again, we don't really see it.
No.
What we do see is the daughter coming in and basically coming in and witnessing this acid like melting her mother's face off.
Yeah, just slowly pouring onto her, onto this wax face.
Yeah, she essentially like faints in front of, or in the path of the tipped bottle of acid and gets her face full.
Which they actually used. They actually used on a wax prosthetic face and just melted it, which is great. But then, unfortunately, it turns into Italian poster paint red blood, foamy liquid.
Foamy, rolling, sort of creeping across the floor, and she steps away, at which point she opens the stand-up corpse freezer. And one of the corpses in there it sort of calls for, lunges for her, doesn't it? And then we cut to a jazz bar.
Oh my god, we do, where
just to remind us that we're in New Orleans,
Nola
in this movie.
Yes, with the Doctor and Liza, I believe, right?
Yeah, and it's really weird how they meet, because he just sort of pulls up alongside her in a car and beeps his horn and goes like...
Well, but they've met before, because he was the one, I think, who came to... he came to the hotel, didn't he, at the beginning, which is how they met.
So it's him that... Right, okay, he's the chap then. It's him that he's talking to.
I think because of the painter.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, you're right. Even in the car, it's just... Remember me?
And I thought... And I did watching it, I did think like, oh, they must have met somewhere previously, and I've just not twigged that it's the same guy.
Yeah.
But it does look a little bit like, God, this guy works fast.
Yeah. He's got time to hang around.
So they go. They're just chatting. I don't really recall anything of any significance happening in this jazz bar scene. They just have a chat. And yeah, what happens
in the jazz bar? Well, I don't. I think it's more a bit of a exposition scene, really. But it's more about. God, this is really bad. Maybe we shouldn't watch films before a few hours before we just forget everything. He receives a phone call, which I would assume it's not fully expressed what's happened in the phone call. I believe it's about the morgue, the situation in the morgue, because it's where he was. Right. It's where he was. He just left the morgue to go out for his drink.
So this isn't the scene where they're going looking for the book. She's going looking for the book.
No.
And they go to the crazy bookshop on, or does that come later?
That's later on. That's later on. Yeah.
Right.
Now, definitely didn't just load up the film to check what we were mumbling about for the last 5 minutes, because we didn't really know what the fuck was going on, even though we watched it nearly 8 hours ago.
I know.
But I'm just going to assume that the scene in question that we were talking about at the bar, the Doctor and Liza, again, just assuming here, just throwing it out there, were probably talking about what she was doing in New York in her previous life before moving to New Orleans.
It was how she got the hotel.
Yeah, it probably was. But I mean, and how Martha and Arthur came with the house, and the Doctor's never heard of them, and she can't get rid of them, and then he gets the phone call from the hospital. It's probably the scene is probably something about that, but let's not dwindle it too much.
I think it's probably fairly safe to say my attention was dwindling. Point.
Yes.
I think this is kind of the point where it sort of started to feel like a bit of a slog, and I was ready for something interesting to happen.
But we're only half hour in.
Well.
Yeah.
But I think it just, it seemed to have, we were getting some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then we went into this, is the book relevant?
Yeah. Yeah, the book really...
section.
Yeah, I was really hoping for more of the book, like we said earlier, about how, I don't know, maybe we'd see pages of the book, learn its history about the book. But the book is introduced in the first few minutes. It's what Emily's reading from, as we talked about, but we don't know the significance of the book.
No, I mean, we don't know where it came from. I mean, we do see some inside of it. We do see bits of. I mean, but
that's about it.
Yeah, it's not really. It's not the Necronomicon. Put it that way.
No,
it's not like a centerpiece. It's this sort of side issue that there's like a weak attempt to kind of make it more of a focal point, and then they bail out of it and decide that it's not relevant after all.
Yeah.
Because we get this scene where Liza can't find the book, and then she suddenly sees it in the window of a second-hand bookshop.
Yeah.
She goes in, and we get this sort of stereotypical crazy shop owner. He's just giggling manically to himself.
He's the crazy old man of the film.
And she picks up this book. Where did you get this book? And he's like, that's always been there. And it turns out not to be the I-bomb book or whatever it is.
But it comes with a free Frogut.
It was. The Frogut is also cast.
That's bad. After our bar scene, we do go to the graveyard for the funeral, because he's got to have a funeral, a graveyard scene. This for not Martha, and the daughter is there. At the end of this scene, the daughter pans. Her head is down, but pans up to the camera and has white eyes, like Emily, like the ghost we saw at the beginning. Now, I looked into this because this happens again later on in the film.
Where she's in the morgue again.
Yes.
And we also get the same thing. And I must have spaced on this cemetery scene, because I thought she'd just been very quick in that morgue for the entire length of time.
She's there. The thing apparently with the white eyes, though, like, they're alluded to that Emily's blind. That's why she's got the dog. Granted, the contact lenses don't look that great. Because they're just the circular. They're not big contact lenses. I don't know much about contact lenses.
Yeah, and the kind of the color of them is a little off, and it seems to suggest more like evil possessed eyes, not blind.
Well, apparently the blindness in story wise is a result of the exposure to evil. That's why it happens. So that's why it happened to Emily. That's why it happens to the young girl. That's why what happens at the end of the film.
Right.
Apparently, it's a little explanation, but it's something at least, because this just happens out of nowhere. She's at the funeral for her mum, not Martha, and she just looks up and she's got these white eyes. It's not explained thoroughly.
Right. Oh well, okay.
But it is a short scene. It is a very short scene. It's not like 5 minutes hearing someone wail in a coffin and is that someone? No. Is it? I don't know. Maybe I'll get a pickaxe and find out.
I mean, if it would have been that, then that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I totally spaced on that. I mean, the cat was possibly being a pest or something. I had to deal with him. He's been a nightmare today. So the next note I've got is it's the tarantula scene.
Hang on, before, because we're gonna have some fun with that.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, there is a scene of Emily and By the way, Liza's accent. She's an English actress, but her accent dwindles at times from American to English. It's a bit hit and miss. There's a scene at night with Emily talking to Liza about the painting. Emily goes to touch it, and then her hands, it's kind of like a bit of stigmata, her hands become covered in blood. And she's still warning of there's evil here, there's evil, room 36. This is where you get the impression that, okay, you thought she was evil earlier on in that really well shot scene on the bridge, because just felt so unnerving and unnatural. But no, she's here to try and warn Liza about the evils. The end of this scene I really loved because Emily runs out with Dickie, but it's Liza's portrayed as a smart protagonist, which is a rare thing in these films. She clocks and works out that, hang on, Emily didn't make any footsteps, neither did Dickie. And it goes back and forth, her thinking about it. And then she does a little bit of pitter-patter with her feet herself, and it makes a sound. It cuts back to her, Emily running out. There's no sound from her footsteps. So I think it's there. She clocks. Hang on, there's something supernatural going on here. There's something not right. And you never see that. The protagonists are never this smart. They never work this out this early on. And I love that. I thought it was a really great little touch. And she ends up going into room 36. Mm-hmm. And this is where she sees he disappears after she's left the room, but Schweik's dead, decaying body in the crucifix position.
Sees him nailed to the wall.
Yeah. And the tap has been turned on his wrist and the blood is still gushing out. His decaying body looks great. His face, it does look like a mask. It looks a bit like a sack mask that's been roughed.
It's a little oversized, isn't it?
Yeah. And obviously then the doctor turns up perfectly. He doesn't see it, thinks she's going crazy. Classic. And I believe we then up the book. Then we're at the bookshop. Okay, we're getting to the spot. I'm trying. I've got the film here. I'm just trying to get us to the spot. We talked about the bookshop. Trying to get us to here. Here are the spiders. Here we go. Let's have some fun.
So we have. Is he called Larry? It's like it's Liza's friend. He has a pipe. His affectation is he keeps gesturing with his pipe.
He's the architect. He's the architect of the hotel. Yeah, he's helping with the building maintenance and the design and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And he's at this massive library, like climbing up a ladder to find this book. I can't remember what the exact book he's looking for. It might be history regarding the house, regarding the Ibon.
That's what it is. He finds it, and it's got a schematic, hasn't it? It's got a floor plan.
Yes, that's it.
The whole building, and then something startles him. Is it like thunder?
Yeah,
lightning.
He finds like you said, the drawing for the 7 gates, 7 doors to hell from the house, and it's there it is, lightning, and he falls off the ladder, and from what the summary of the film, the synopsis of the film states, he is paralyzed on the floor but still alive. Mm-hmm. Like he can't move. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
tarantulas.
Of fucking nowhere. Look out, dear! They'll get in your hair. Tarantulas are getting in your hair.
2 very real tarantulas
and
several not very real tarantulas.
Oh,
the
they're
budget
incredible.
Only stretched to 2 real ones.
I
thought it was just 1 real one at first. And we have this very protracted shot of real spiders walking, and then, as you say, the motion is very sort of their legs all lift off at the same time.
And if the camera is like here, so to your YouTube viewers, on my face, you just see the front of the spiders being like tapped on his face. You're not seeing the back.
And they crawl up to him and they crawl up his body, and as I say, it's a mixture of. They do their best to try and keep they're slightly animatronic.
Yeah,
we call them puppet spiders. I think there's a very basic sort of like animation to them. They
shuffle
do their best
back
to try
and forth.
They do their best to try and keep them to the rear of the shot and slightly out of focus, where they let the paid spider actors like take the forefront. But there are a few points where it's definitely a puppet spider, and they crawl up the body, and then start eating him.
Yeah, eat him a lot. Yeah. Now, I don't know much about spiders, but I've always been under the misconception that tarantulas, they look terrifying, but they're not actually as dangerous as, say, like a widow, a black widow spider or whatever. They got bites, but they're not deadly, as far as I'm aware. I don't know much about them.
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for every species.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they'll give you a painful bite, but we're not talking like venom strong enough to kill humans.
Or to rip flesh. Like, they are ripping flesh.
That's the main point, is that they're not... Yeah, I mean, that's how spiders feed normally. They bite, they inject venom.
Yeah.
And then the venom liquefies the insides and they suck out that and leave husks. But these tarantulas are ripping chunks of flesh out of his lips and his cheeks, and it goes in his mouth, his tongue. He's being like,
the tongue.
They're like,
the tongue one.
They are chowing down. They are pulling chunks of flesh off this guy.
But this is where I was really thinking, this is Fulci for the sake of Fulci. This just went on. This just went on.
Yeah,
and on.
It was like it was another. Well, it was not quite as bad, but it was verging on the guts vomiting.
Yeah,
scene.
Yeah, completely.
Just long, drawn out. Like, yes, we get it. Yes, it's horrific. Move on. Like, we've been watching it for a while now.
Yeah.
Like,
what can we do?
We don't need to see sort of 5 tarantulas eat a full-grown man in real time. Like, we do not need to see it.
Why were they there? They just came. As he collapsed off the ladder, was paralyzed instantly. They start creeping out from below the bookcases,
on the shelves. Yeah, it's just what we need. Another kill.
Yeah,
we need something gory to happen. Tarantulas. Yeah, sure, why not?
Why not?
How many of them are the budget's only going to cover 2? Never mind, we'll work something out.
This one's got an expensive day rate.
He wants his own trailer.
Yeah. It only works for scale.
So I guess it's just they just wanted another kill. They wanted another death. We've not done spiders, let's do spiders. Because it's a fairly minor character in the scheme of things. And then we get the weird sort of shot of the book and the schematic disappearing.
Yeah.
In sections, which is even stranger. It's like, so it's a full page schematic of the hotel, and then it disappears in sections. So
yeah, really weird.
Like, I thought it was going to leave us with something, like bits of the building are disappearing, and this is the original bit that's like the evil bit or whatever, but it all vanishes. It just does it in a strange, like a more logical way of it making it disappear would be to just fade out the entire image, surely.
Have the spiders eat it.
But let the spiders eat it. But they just chop it in sections. So yeah, it's an odd shot that I don't think really tells us anything. It doesn't do anything, add anything. Nobody else goes to check that book again.
Did you notice as well with the spiders, back to sound design, the sound they made? They creaked.
Oh. I was laughing a lot.
I think surely spiders are one of the quietest, silentest things ever.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely recall the synth music that was occurring. We got a little synth tuning, but no, I did. But I was laughing, shouting. I had a lot of fun just shouting at the TV with this. Yes, get him! Yes, why are the spiders? Look at that one.
Fuck it doesn't matter.
So then it moves on to the other bit that really confused me, because we have Martha. Martha's suddenly back.
No, yeah, well, she may have died. She may have not died already. We don't actually know.
Well,
we're assuming not.
She wasn't melted in the morgue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this really confused me. She's cleaning, and I was utterly convinced that we'd seen her face get melted off in the morgue, like 10 minutes previously. So she's there, although she, is about to get her comeuppance, or she's about to buy the farm, as she unclogs the bathtub. Pulls out a huge wad of gunk and hair from under this sort of dirty, murky water.
Disgusting bathtub.
And as it drains away, it is revealed Joe, sexy Joe, the plumber, is back.
In his Sunday best.
In his Sunday best. Not made by her fair hand.
No.
Transpires. But yeah, Joe gets up and attacks her. Yeah. And we get our next eyeball scene as her head gets slammed onto a protruding nail.
And this is in room 36, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's one of the two nails that Liza had seen the vision of Schweik on, but the nails were still there. So that's obviously where Schweik was killed.
Yeah.
But the body's gone, but the nails are still there, and that is... But it's even worse because it's the head of the nail. So it's the blunt end of the nail.
Yeah, it is.
That Joe forces Martha's head through the back into, which then pops out her eyeball. He really has a thing for the eyeballs because one of the spiders bites at the eyeballs.
Yeah, one of the spiders bites there. Obviously, Joe has his eyeball gouged out as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Always things with the eyeballs. There is a little thing before this with the doctor going to the house that apparently Emily lives at. It's abandoned. It's completely abandoned. And he finds the book there, the Eibon book there. And he starts reading it. I can't remember if he says anything, but he finds the real book there. Again, it's just there. It needs a bit more. It needs a bit more fleshed out.
He doesn't. I mean, it kind of comes up later when he confronts about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does. He reads this book. He finds the book. He reads the book in this abandoned house. And so I just lost my pace. Part of my notes.
Good.
Yeah. So we have Joe attacking Martha. We have John, Dr. John.
Oh, the assistant or the guy. Oh no, sorry, Dr. John. Yes, Dr. John. Yes.
Yeah, we have Dr. John at Emily's house. Yeah. Then we have the scene with Emily. Then we have the actual reveal that is dead, has been dead all along, as she is confronted by all the corpses we've seen up to now. Basically, all the it's Schweik's corpse, Joe's corpse.
Is it Martha? Is it Martha? Is it not Martha? Is it like all the people that we've seen die?
It's all the people we've seen die, I think. Yeah.
I think they gang up and they group up and go for Emily. But it's weird because she's meant to be a ghost. So in theory, she's dead.
It's not explained, but she's. So the kind of setup of it is that pianos stop tinkling or there's some noises, and she's obviously blind and she's shouting like, "Who's there? Who's there?" And then it suddenly dawns on her who is there.
Yeah.
And she starts shouting a lot about like, I'm not ready to go back. I don't want to go back. And there's lots of talk of going back and being taken back.
She also says, "I did what you asked."
I did what you asked. Yeah. So it's not entirely clear where she's come from.
No.
And like who they are, I guess, or where she's come from and where going back is. I mean, presumably back to the land of the dead, back to hell.
But then again, that's what I mean about the end of this shot, this scene where she has flesh. She's She's
a
solid entity in a way
who
has
physical.
flesh.
She's not a ghost in that sense.
Which
and
is...
if she's coming back for some, is that why she got chosen? Because the best put together corpse in hell that they'd sent her back. That she's not like full on
the prettiest corpse,
dead rotting.
Yeah,
it's like Send the pretty one to do it. She'll blend in.
Her dog, Dickie, does start to go on the offense against the corpses, but then snaps. And Cujo's her ass. He goes right for her neck.
From out of nowhere.
Just
transforms into Spit the dog.
Yep, just absolutely. And that is the end of Emily for this film.
Really bad puppet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a puppet banging into a mannequin. It's great.
I would love to see an array, like the lineup of the behind the scenes, like the puppets. Just let's see what you were working with. Like, I mean, you look at the Thing. I mean, the Thing came out. I actually wrote this down in prep for the next couple of weeks. The Thing came out June 25th, 1982. So 41 years ago. So a year after this, and the dog effects in that. Bit sloppy towards the end, but in the kennel scene, we're very, very good.
Yeah. This is a bit of, I mean, it's like a hobby horse.
Yeah.
They work hard to try and sell this.
Yeah,
and it's not great.
It's
but yeah, for Dickie the dog, going
Dickie the
absolutely
dog.
ham. He feeds
straight into the jugular. And that's the end of Emily. Weirdly, even though she's already been ended because she's a ghost, but whatever.
But then,
are we there yet? Are we there? Come on now. Are we there?
We're there. We're getting there.
We talk about it.
We get John confronting Liza,
and
he is angry. He is very, very angry that Liza has been making up stories. He goes very sort of like 70s, 80s, but it goes very sort of, misogynistic man. Like, you've been making up stories. You've been telling lies about all these accidents that But at this point, he then says to her that the hotel is built on a gateway to hell.
Yeah.
It makes he's incredibly angry and accuses her of lying and making it while these people have been having accidents.
It's her fault.
But then he says, I know the hotel has been built on a gate to hell. It's like, well, which is it? Is she making it up, or are you? And then with what immediately follows that is him sort of saying, I'm a doctor. I'll only accept rational explanations. And pulling a gun out. So he's a lunatic.
Yeah.
He's easily my favourite character in this, and he only gets better from this point onwards. Because
he's
insane.
He does. But he gives the impression throughout the film that, I mean, he's a doctor, but he gives the impression of like he wants to be a detective. The way he acts, like he's breaking into a house to try and find what's going on. He's got his piece. He's angry at not, getting all the information. He's trying to solve what's going on. You're just a doctor, mate. You're just a doctor.
You don't need to know.
You don't. Yeah.
I'll only accept rational explanations. Opens a drawer, pulls out Magnum.
Although before this, they leave the hotel because Liza.
Yeah, it's not immediately after. There's a bit of preamble.
Liza. I mean, the gate is somewhat open. Again, it's not clear, but it really becomes open now. With lots of flashing lights, bells, and whistles. And then as they're leaving the hotel, all the lights of all the rooms come on. You can see the windows from outside. You suddenly see silhouettes walking slowly with each room. So, like, it's really open now. And hell is
she
is
goes
coming
into
loose.
the basement and she's attacked by...
I think it's Arthur. Arthur, yeah. He's a bit of a babbling guy that works there. We only see him at the beginning. And then they arrive at the hospital, which I'm seeing now. Hospital. It's a bloody manor that doesn't look like a hospital I've ever seen.
It's private. It's Booper.
You're telling me? Yeah, it's private as hell. There's no one at the hospital.
No, I know.
There's no one there.
But then we get we've been building up. We've been talking about this hospital scene, And it does. The film ramps up. Like, it turns it up to 11 for this last section in the hospital. And it goes full on Walking Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Like, there's a gun involved. There's lots of shooting. And John doing his best. McClane, Rambo. Like,
well, badly, though.
He's just running around. I mean, we've mentioned it already, but he shoots. So the crowd, the halls of the hospital are filled with, zombies. We've got scenes of 7 or 8 corpses sort of shambling down. And he's firing his gun. He's taking pot shots, and he's hitting him in the chest, and he's hitting him in the shoulders, and then he scores a headshot, and it goes down.
From the first zombie, the first dead.
And he flat out refuses to retain that information.
Nope. Gone.
And will proceed for the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long left, however much ammo he's got for the remainder of the movie. He will refuse. Every zombie is getting 2 or 3 shots to the chest and the abdomen before he bangs a headshot. One pops up right next to him. Immediately after he dropped one, one pops up right next to him, and his first reaction is to shoot it in the gut.
Let's see if this works.
It's just a horrible thing to do.
I watched it.
Shot, chest shot, and then he goes for the head and has run out of ammunition at that point.
I'm watching it now. Yeah, like Eliza and it goes into the lift, and as he turns around, there's one right in front of him. It's the one you're talking about, and he shoots here, just below the shoulder, then in the gut, and then in the head.
Yeah.
Now, I can't even put that down to he's just got bad aim, because he's about 2 meters away from this guy.
It's there. Yeah,
it's right there. They're not too, like I said earlier, they're not too Walking Dead dirty corpses. They're very much cadavers that have just maybe been fresh to the morgue. But the first one that grabs, it's another good jump scare that grabs Liza from his office. She's standing in front of a frosted panel of glass, and he just bursts through and grabs her hair. But the actor that's playing the Walking Dead, the zombie, he's got a really angry, sinister look on his face. Like, Doctor shoots him in the arm twice, then the head.
Yeah.
And Liza makes it to the morgue and finds the little girl there. Who do we even get her name?
It's Jill.
Jill.
It's Jill.
Maybe the mum says. Maybe not. Martha says it earlier on. Like, Jill, stay there. Sit down.
I think, to be honest, Liza says it when she sees her. I think she says Jill, because I was kind of like, how does she know her?
But then that would have made more sense if it was Martha earlier on that died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not sure on that one. So she meets up with Jill in the morgue, in the Space Odyssey morgue, while the Doctor meets up with his assistant, who is looking like something out of Frankenstein, like Dr. Frankenstein. He's got a meat cleaver in his hand, and he gets instantly got.
He does. But before we get on to that, first of all, like Liza goes into the morgue, and it's a classic, like, I've gone through this door, and she turns around, and it's I'm in the morgue. This is possibly the worst place to be. Like, oh damn! Of all the doors I picked the one.
Oh my god! That place was so much better before.
But yeah, he runs into Harris, who is like hiding behind the screen with a meat cleaver. I mean, you've got to ask where he got the meat, because it is a full-on meat cleaver.
It is.
It's not a bone saw. It's not a hospital implement. It's a meat cleaver. But he grabs him. He slaps it out of his hand.
Yeah.
And then basically, while wielding his pistol in one hand, he's just dragging Harris around with him.
It's almost like he's using it as a shield.
But he's using him as a shield. He's using him as a bottle opener. He's using him as like to open doors. He's just manhandling this poor guy. After disarming him for no reason.
Yeah,
well,
you don't need that.
I mean, there's no need to disarm this point. He might need to protect himself as well. He just slept. My note on this is John is a lunatic. See interaction with Harris.
Yeah, because Harris would have been fine if he didn't meet up with the Doctor. Harris dies because Doctor shoots the fucking window.
So is this the shot that you were talking about earlier?
No.
Oh, is it not? Oh, okay.
Come on
I
now.
thought it was this.
The Doctor shoots the window, and the window explodes onto Harris's face, which, like, the shards of glass just implement themselves into his face.
Like across the room.
It's a good 3 meters away, yeah.
Like the wrong way as well. The gunshot goes this way, the glass comes this way. It's just...
It'd be like if I shot that window behind you, and then the glass went right into the back of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Baffling. And then he leaves. He's like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Poor Harris.
Yeah, he was doing fine. He was doing absolutely fine. This fucking guy. His field of view. That, because I mean, it's what the camera shows. After he's, Harris, whatever. He's not sad. Harris is dead. Whatever. Fuck it. He goes back to the elevator. Gun ready. Door opens. Looks in. No one there. Looks to the right. There's Liza and Jill. How big is this elevator? How did your field of vision is so fucking big. Apparently, he only saw one corner of the elevator, but had to move himself to see the other corner.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because shortly after this, as they're all moving through the hospital, they move. I think it feels like they go back through the morgue again.
Probably. The layout is nonsensical.
They go into another room that's got cadavers in anyway. Because there's one opening the bag. It's opening its body bag. It's got its finger through a hole.
Yeah.
It's ripping a hole in. And they sort of see that the corpses are animating in here too. And they go to move away, and then suddenly one grabs Liza. And it's like, how did she not see that in the room? Like, it properly jumps like off frame and attacks her. And it's like, there's no way you would have missed that full-size adult corpse shambling across the floor towards you.
In a white room. In a white room.
In a very stark white room. It is very odd. John's still there, passing out gut shots and chest shots. And then he eventually does... Well, he does eventually run out of... Because there's the scene where he runs out of ammo and you think, oh, that's it. But then we don't see him reload, but miraculously his gun's reloaded again. And then it runs out a second time here, and he just throws it, and they run off and go down the spiral staircase into the basement.
Now, before they do that, when you talk about the scene, which I am absolutely disappointed in you, that you are not thinking what I'm thinking of. Before this, they go into this morgue room 2, shall we say? They open They open mystery door number 1. What's behind the door? It's Shrike. Just appears again. Back to our random lore of he can teleport. He's like the vicar from the first City of the Living Dead. He's like the head honcho of evil. Again, he's still shooting this fucker in the chest. Won't learn. Hang on, I've got it here. I'm waiting for it to get to the favourite bit, which just came out of nowhere. There it is. He blows Jill's head clean off with one shot.
Yes. I forgot about
one shot, and her head scanners the hell out of this room. He has trouble shooting fully grown adults, but he's a dab hand at shooting kids in the face.
You're right. It is a standout shot.
Madness.
I definitely remember laughing at it loud and reacting. There's a lot goes on in this.
Yeah.
You get a lot thrown at you in this last
absolute
section.
Madness.
Yeah, he does.
I remember why.
She that's it. She attacks Liza, and and he just turns and boom.
Just eviscerates her head from existence with one bullet. But the cadavers, they take a beating.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you said, so after the morgue room, they end up going through a door which leads to the metal spiral staircase leading to a basement, which which is like the reminiscent of the hotel, which led me to believe at this point, and I think I was right because I read up on this, that ever since they were back at the hotel where they again maybe opened the gate even more, got tapped by Arthur, they've been stuck in a limbo. None of this is real life. Some of this is just fantasy.
Yeah, they.
I couldn't think of how to.
Yeah, she immediately says, doesn't she, when she says, "Oh, we're under the hotel."
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense.
The hotel again. It
doesn't make sense. It's not real. It's not real. And obviously, what happens after this, where they literally enter. I again don't know, limbo, hell, whatever it is. It's not planet Earth.
I mean, they're in. I mean, they're in the painting.
Yeah,
they run into a landscape very well, it is not reminiscent of. It is the painting that Schweik was painting at the beginning of the film. So it is darkness, pitch darkness all around them. They're on a white field, and I say field, it's like a dusty plain,
a rocky landscape.
Yeah, sort of maybe almost like the moon or a desert.
Yeah,
sort of landscape, and there's bodies, corpses, white corpses, just sort of strewn around the place, kind of there.
Same position.
But it's we don't see very far at all. It's very enclosed and in this darkness, almost like they're on a soundstage. But
wow, you do see the boom mic.
They'd be under a like they'd be under a spotlight, and it'd move as they move, kind of thing. And yeah, I guess it's hell. I think we're told it's a gate to hell, one of the 7 gates to hell. I assume that painting was a depiction of hell. They run into hell,
and they're absolutely they're stuck, because wherever they look, and I clocked this, but I wasn't sure if it was down to lazy editing, lazy producing. Wherever they look in this landscape is the same shot. There's like 5 bodies at a diagonal position on the left. Wherever they look, turn around, it's the same shot. Wherever they look to the right, left, the same shot. I think it's done intentionally to show that they're now lost. There's no going back for them. Wherever they're in an endless hellscape that they can't escape. Just completely endless. Yeah. And then the final closing moments where their eyes turn white. And relating back to what I mentioned earlier about when it happens to Jill, it's the exposure to evil is apparently results in this blindness, but it's not expressed properly. It's not talked about. It just
we're not told that that's what's going on.
No.
I said, I felt it because it reminded me a lot of the Deadites in Evil Dead. So I just assumed it was like possession. They were possessed. It was, so I guess it ends in the same place, I suppose, even if it's not exactly what it's meant to be.
It's more of a definitive ending in the City of the Living Dead, though.
Oh yeah.
Much more.
I mean, all round, it's just a better film than City, I think.
It is, yeah, it is.
Definitely enjoyed it a lot more.
It felt like they learned a lot from City. The quality of the film itself felt a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more money invested in it.
The narrative is there in a strong. Although there's a few blips, the narrative as a whole is stronger and flows better.
Yeah, the effects for up and down here and there. Some good, some bad, some dodgy. Cinematography was beautiful. I don't really think much more else to say really on.
No, I mean that's
really?
Definitely more entertaining. I mean,
For sure.
was howling howling with laughter at a few points, which
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be a comedy, but with the age of the movie, and when you've seen enough dodgy effects and stuff like that,
Yeah.
some bits are funny. But it was a lot. It was very entertaining. And like I say, I was getting massive Dark Place vibes.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
John
yeah.
running around the hospital. I couldn't help it. But it sold it. It sold the movie to me. I'd definitely watch it again. Put it this way:
Yeah.
City of the Living Dead, probably won't ever watch it again. The Beyond, definitely will. Like it was very good.
Yeah, I would
Very
highly recommend it. And as we mentioned, it's the fill-in of the Gates of Hell trilogy sandwich, but you don't need to have seen City of the Living Dead to watch this. This is a completely standalone film, and I would, highly recommend it. The dubbing was perfectly fine, I thought, for an Italian horror film again.
Yeah.
Some places a bit iffy, but it's Italian horror. It's what you're going to get.
Yeah, I don't really notice it after a while. It is what it is.
I would highly recommend it. It's an hour and a half again. If you want just a horror film that you've never heard of before, some classic 80s horror film, then I'd check it out.
If you're following along with the trilogy, you want to see them for yourself. Yeah, it's an hour and a half. It felt a little bit longer, but
I think but down to the pacing and the way the story went, probably.
A little bit with that, and I did rewind it at a couple. I felt myself losing the thread of what was happening. I was like,
Right, yeah.
So there were a couple of points where I rewound by maybe 5 minutes or so. So it's probably a little bit of a longer watch. But yeah, like as we've said, ultimately the pacing's a lot better.
I think what I would have loved a bit more is, again, like we said, a bit more focus on the book, the narrative of the the 7 gates of hell. Like, okay, so we've discovered there's one in the hotel. There's one over there. There's one in this town. Just a little bit more about it all, really. We got the little bit of hell like I wanted, bit of whatever it was. That's all I wanted, but just flesh it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess the one under the town of Salem is another of these 7 gates of hell.
I guess so. You're right, and I guess if neither of us have. Wait, have you seen House?
I have seen House.
It was that one.
I have seen House. Yeah.
So you've seen House by the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
So, without not really spoiler, it's fine. Does that focus on another gate to hell? Do you remember?
Honestly don't think it does. No.
Brilliant.
I don't recall. It's a while ago since I watched it, but there is a different. It's a different thing altogether, and I don't recall there being any mention of a gate to hell in it whatsoever.
Right. Okay. Oh well.
I may be wrong on a subsequent rewatch.
Well, we'll find out next month.
But I do remember. I'm looking forward to watching it. So I did enjoy it.
Oh, there's a tasty from the Beyond Blu-ray for £16 on Amazon. That's quite nice. With City of the Living Dead. Have you seen the poster for the Beyond? Well, there's a couple of them.
The incredibly green and red one.
Yeah, there's another one that really doesn't fit with the film. I like the green and red one. It's a really artistic, creative one.
It's the one
I love it.
The knife to her throat.
Yes, that.
Yeah, that doesn't fit at all, does it? It's not.
I get instant slasher vibes from that.
Yeah.
And this ain't no slasher. the green and red is far superior to this.
Yeah, it is. There is another. I'm just gonna send you this. Because there's a variation on that. A variation on that slasher-esque one.
Oh yeah.
Which is even more misleading.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Because who is that in the top right?
Blue. Oh, hang on a minute. Is that? Oh, it's kind of a mishmash, isn't it? It's got the slasher with the knife to the throat, but
Yeah.
is that meant to be Joe?
I think it's meant to be Joe, but that is not Joe.
No, because Joe did have those sort of diagonal scratch marks across his face.
He did, but he also had a full beard. Like, that is not him.
And he had more hair on his head than that, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's
a pre-production shot of a different actor before he was recast or something like that.
Or it's not a made-up African film poster for the film, is it?
I mean, I don't think so. It's got Emily being eaten by a Dickie at the bottom.
Yeah. How bizarre.
It's just, I don't know. It's just some extra things. But no, the red and green.
Yeah,
it's very good.
It's really nice, like just as a piece of art, because it took me a second to clock that you see the flames in the background and the black silhouettes are the zombies as well. I didn't clock that first, but her red face really pops, and the title isn't too in your face. It's kind of taking a back seat to the art itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Did you see as well that for the American release, this film was called Seven Doors of Death?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
I just found a comic of it though.
I think that's an awful title.
Oh yeah, no,
sucks.
I'm looking at a poster for that does have the tarantulas on it though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, how did I miss that? Oh,
it kind of looks like an old Atari game as well.
I was just about to say that it does with the red border. Yeah. Oh, that's horrendous. Seven Doors of Death. Yeah, that's no. The Beyond is a fantastic title, and yeah, as a film, recommend it. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. Out of all the Italian horrors I've probably seen, it's probably up. It's not quite up there with Suspiria, but it's up there. It's one of the better ones I've seen.
Yeah,
I would say.
It's reasonable.
Yeah. So, have you got anything?
The best of the trilogy that we've watched so far, I think.
So far, yeah. We have one more to watch, which you have seen, but you can't remember fully. So we'll get
No, I definitely need a refresher on it.
Get a refresher on that next month. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about this film?
It will be next month, won't it? Yeah. There is nothing. No, I think we've covered other business. Like I say, it's probably worth checking out our City of the Living Dead episode if you are following along with this trilogy. There's going to be a little bit of a gap before we do the next entry because we've already got June's film
locked down,
sorted.
Locked in.
But I guess we'll do it next month. I guess it'll be.
We will.
We'll do it next month.
We will, and I'm going to start to categorize a lot of these films on the YouTube channel. Like, there is now a new playlist for the Monsters of Universal episodes that we'll do. I'll categorize this as the Gates of Hell trilogy, so making it easier for people to find what films they might want to see. And so on. So next week we are going to be enjoying the adventures of Melvin and his mop next week. Looking forward to that. That'll be a fun one. Yeah, that's going to be a real fun one.
It's a long time since I've seen Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw, yeah, it's been a while.
It's not that long at all. It's a long time since I've seen Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, Toxic Avenger next week. Following that, don't even know what I'm in for, but you've seen it apparently.
I've watched it, yes. I'm giving nothing away.
Yeah, alright, even by that I'm not looking forward to it. Antrim, the deadliest movie ever made, apparently, came out in 2018, so that'll be after Toxic Avenger and to cap off the lovely week month of June, we will be doing part 2 of our Monsters of the Universal. We'll be focusing on Frankenstein. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to that because I have seen maybe half of it. And hopefully we'll have more knowledge on more research. We've done more homework on the Monsters of the Universal in general. Because we got told off about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it. About the
lovely.
The gist
as
of it.
Always, like, share, comment, let us know your thoughts, your feedback, your hopes, your dreams, your fears.
Do all that jazz, and you can send stuff into the mailbag.
Yeah, you can. The Dreadcastpod@gmail.com.
As he's reading it off the screen, well done.
I wasn't reading it off the screen because I closed the window where it was, and I really.
So brave, so courageous.
Dreadcastpod@gmail.com.
That's the one. And yeah, you can find this episode and all past content on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Podbean, YouTube, all by searching the Dreadcast. And our personal Twitters, where it's a load of just waffle below. But there is the actual Twitter and Instagram at the Dreadcast, where you'll see all the podcast and horror fun. And I believe that is it. Go check out The Beyond. And we'll see you next week for Melvin.
Till next time, guys. Stay spooky.
Okay.